Why, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Andrea Lake 101, The Making of a Billionaire. You wanted it, you got it. We have a Sticker Wars episode. Oh my God, you guys. So much is going on in the wild, crazy world of stickers. Do I compare it to Tiger King? A little bit, but way less murdery. Yeah, and no animal abuse. It is a madcapped group of characters in the wild 42 billion-dollar annual revenue industry of stickers and labels. I can't wait to tell you guys everything that's going on. We are absolutely going to give you an update on the TV show and talking to the streaming services. And while I promise there will be tea, there's also going to be like a crazy amount of actual tactical business advice in this one. Like, how the fuck do you go get a government contract? Yeah, good question. I'm gonna tell you. I am gonna be spilling secrets top to bottom on the whole entire sticker industry, as well as just entrepreneurship in general. I am comfy, I am cozy. It is a late night recording. I don't usually record late at night, and so I am in my jammies in the pod studio. I'm excited to fill you in on everything that's happened. I got my notes, I'm good and ready. So, without further ado, let's go. So, this episode is going to cover May 15th to May 30th of 2025. Where are we? What are we doing? What's happening? How are things going? They're going pretty fucking great. We have been maintaining a very steady Eddie sales level for a while as we get all of the pieces in place and move to close huge contracts. And as I have previously mentioned in other episodes, we opted not to go down the avenue of Instagram ads for all kinds of reasons. If you would like those reasons, listen to the previous episodes of Andrea Lake 101, The Making of a Billionaire. But instead, to pursue huge clients, big six-figure clients, hard. And so we've been going after a lot of government contracts, a lot of colleges, a lot of Fortune 500s, a lot of institutions, just a lot of different places. A lot of those different places have very fussy little requirements. So we decided like, hey, let's just go down the road of government contracts. And you always hear about those people, especially if you go to like an entrepreneur gathering or something in any city, who are just like killing it by selling some kind of service, a construction service or a cleaning service or any kind of service in government contracts, because all different state agencies, local municipalities, and federal government agencies have budget to do stuff that makes them function. And a lot of those departments, like the Department of Public Health, like any state-funded college, like any Department of Transportation, any public works, they're going to use stickers for some sort of marketing campaigns. And if you own a small business in any city in the US, there are government and state agencies that are very, very incentivized to help small businesses grow, number one, and they really want to keep their business in the state that they're in, obviously, because then the tax dollars that we pay within a state that fund the state government then stay within the state and employ people within the state. And then there's all kinds of agencies that are really incentivized to help small businesses grow bigger within a state. But man, when I tell you, I have been knowing this for years. Yeah, for years. I started the company in 1999. Why didn't I have all of my government contracts in place, government licensing in place? Because it is such a fucking pain in the ass. As a matter of fact, it's a total differentiator between us and our competition. And if I did not have Brian as the chief operations officer, well, guess what? I would not have government contracts. So Brian Burling, of course, is our chief operations officer over at StickerJunkie. Been a friend of mine for a long, long time. We did a lot of business together when he was over at Jinx as their director of operations, and is on our staff at StickerJunkie as our chief operations officer. And when I tell you that this guy knows what he is doing and is a superstar, all of the yes, that is completely, completely, completely true. So Brian, oh my God, goes and learns everything that you can learn about government contracts and what certifications do we need, and then do we need a separate certification for this? Some of them we need 3 or 4 or 5 different certifications to properly qualify into sell to that particular agency. And within every agency of the government, there is like a small business advocate that you can reach out to as a small business that like just got their numbers together. We are reaching out to the small business advocates at like every different agency in California and letting them know like, hey, we have all of our small business numbers, we have all of our certifications to be a vendor for the contract, we have all of the government numbers, and the level of helpful that they are, I cannot even tell you. And We would have none of that without Brian. Brian and I were going into one of the first big meetings today with a government agency, with Caltrans in California. It's our Department of Transportation, and they're a small business advocate. We were so excited because it's like, she didn't realize we've had other ones on Zoom, but this was our first sit down with a small business advocate. I didn't realize how much her job was to really help small businesses get contracts with the government, because the advocate actually works within the Caltrans offices. So in each of these different government agencies, there's someone that, like, it's their whole job to help small businesses get contracts with state government. And I don't know why that's mind blowing to me, but I truly did not realize it. I thought that the process was going to be way, way harder than it actually was, because there's people specifically meant to help you. However, that being said, it still is no cakewalk. And the quantity of acronyms that they have for different things, and the amount of different like sub agencies, all of which require a certification, all of which have slightly different requires of documentation to get that certification, etc. When I booked this meeting with Caltrans, I didn't consult Brian's schedule first. And so I just said basically, like, I can handle a sales meeting by myself. You've already done the heavy lifting. You have the contract numbers. So you can come to the sales meeting or not, because either way I know how to sell stuff. When I tell you he was the superstar of the meeting, it was crazy. They were like speaking another language. There were multiple minutes of conversation during this meeting with Caltrans where I didn't understand at all what they were talking about, because it was so much like, do you have the NCIS number for the CIL? But if it's over here on the SDABC, then you need the SDQR number for whatever. I was like, excuse me, the what? What are you even guys talking about? And every single thing that the woman at Caltrans said, Brian understood exactly what it was, responded with the appropriate like acronym in response. It was like listening to people speak in Italian or any other language that I do not speak. I was like, what? That I sort of speak, but not really. I was like, what? Then Brian and I walk out of the meeting. I am like elated, but I'm so happy that he decided that it was available, even because I booked the meeting without seeing if his time was available. And when I tell you, I would have been like a deer in the headlights at that meeting, and I would not have asked any of the right questions. I don't even know the right questions to ask. So all of the rest of the meetings that I'm booking, I'm actually just going to book on Zoom, because we're taking so many meetings right now with different California state agencies and federal, because we got our federal numbers as well, but we figure, we'll expand outward. So at tomorrow's group lunch, I am giving the biggest shout out in the all hands meeting to Brian and on the podcast, because I would have been like a deer in the headlights. Yeah, that would not have worked out well if I just went there by myself. So it's starting to be reinvigorating again. It's starting to be really exciting again. And I feel like a lot of the synchronicities are coming back. And one of them, which very luckily, was that I was here in San Diego over Memorial Day weekend. I did finish cleaning out my house, every drawer, every cabinet, every cupboard. I lovingly say that I aspire to be like, what is wrong with this chick level of organized in my house? And I very, very rarely hit that metric, but everything has its place. Everything is in its place. I really do believe that physical space equals mental space. And something about shifting everything around in my space and getting everything where I wanted it, and having it truly be done, having the stuff hung up on the walls. I do still have to do new stickers in the podcast studio, but like Dana and David already printed them for me to put those up. So it just feels amazing to have that level of like, when I walk into my space, it just feels like this safe, sacred, like a big warm hug. Like I'm just here, I could decompress. And also I set up my office, which I do a lot of work at my home office, because it's very difficult for me to get the same volume of stuff done at the actual office that I can if I just sit down and focus at my house. So we're going to talk about office work versus homework. For a long time, there was a whole lot of meetings that I had to have with all of my staff, with all of my team, to get everyone where they were in a level where they could just like bang out what they were doing. And then over the course of the past 6 months, Brian has really taken that responsibility off my plate. I used to have to be in all of the production meetings, all of the design meetings, the crossover production design meetings. And now I do go to them sometimes, but I don't need to go to them every week, because they have got it. And I come in and look around and give suggestions suggestions on things when I am around on our Wednesday meetings. But mostly now we have successfully moved into a phase where a lot of those responsibilities are just not on my desk anymore. They're just not mine. And now my whole job, period, is to sell more stickers. That is it. Although now, after today's meetings, I am realizing that Brian is going to need to come to a lot of these starter meetings with a small business advocate for me. Once we're set up with them, I can take it from there and just figure out how to sell more stickers. But man, that was such a good tag team of a little sales team, information gathering, figuring out different use applications, figuring out different vendors who actually are other vendors that sell to Caltrans that we can approach and let them know that, like, hey, if you're printing stickers over there at your construction company, we would love for you to print them with us. And like, soon you're in San Diego, if you ever have a rush, you can just place an order, you can get it the next day. Sometimes we can get it the same day. And so anyhow, it felt like such excitement, which is phenomenal, because as you will see on this week's Instagram, we have just barely been missing our goals month on month on month, but we're just set to like close enough sales where we very quickly double or triple or quadruple. So we are actually prepared to take 4 times as much business as we are now. That's probably not true. It's probably more like 3 times, but like tomorrow we could triple our business and basically be fine. That's the level of getting our little duckies in a row that we have been doing for the past, many, 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 many months, basically since StickerGate. And now we're at the point where like, okay, we 5x our sales. We're ready right now to 3x our sales. And if we did 5x our sales, we would be able to keep up with that because we have done that level of getting shit togetherness in the beginning. And as I've talked about, maybe more in the early podcasts, when you scale a company, there's a reason that people fail at scaling companies. And it's because they want to take every single order because they're afraid they might not get another order, which might be true. And they want to overextend themselves. And they forget that if they do that, they're going to disappoint clients. That's what's going to happen because they're not ready for it. They're not going to have the turnaround time right. They're going to promise something and fall down on delivery. And that sucks. Or they're going to get overwhelmed with business and not know what to do to turn the tap off and to be able to just happily please your clients. So I feel like we're right at that pace. We're like triple, great. 5x, great. If it were to 10x our business tomorrow, we actually do have a way that we can turn the valve off for a little bit and just onboard a certain number of clients a day. But man, those are good problems to solve. Those are such better problems to solve than how the fuck are we going to pay our bills this month? And that's basically been the problems that we're solving. So the fact that I didn't realize how much advocacy that there is for entrepreneurs to sell services and products to different agencies, I very strongly recommend looking into it if that suits your business. And they will preferentially always do in state. So there's a bunch of big sticker companies that have contracts with California companies. However, they're not based in California. And so the California agency that they have a contract with, they're going to be very incentivized to come and purchase stickers from me instead. And that same thing also is true in whatever state they are domiciled in. So if there's a big sticker company in Ohio, they're going to preferentially purchase stickers at all of the state universities in Ohio from that company in Ohio because then they are employing Ohioans. Ohioans? I'm not sure. And same thing is true where the state of California is going to want to support a company like us for sure that is pushing to give a living wage to all of our California employees, and all of our employees are in our San Diego facilities. We don't outsource our employees. We don't outsource, for example, our art department to Ecuador or India or Guatemala, or there's so many different places that you can outsource graphic designers to, but we have graphic designers in-house. We keep all of the jobs, American jobs in America for StickerJunkie, and we are very lucky with the tariffs. Of course, we're going to have to raise our pricing on some things, but it's probably only going to be 12%, which is really lucky because all of our vinyls are actually manufactured in the United States, and the United States is a big manufacturer of petroleum, which is what the vinyls are made of. So that's super lucky. Our inks come from Japan. And so we shall see what happens with any of that, except for that, all of our machinery and the parts for our machinery and the replacement parts and a whole bunch of little ancillary things that we purchase are skyrocketing in pricing, as you can imagine, and our raw materials have increased in pricing. And so we will have to raise our pricing just a little bit, but it does seem like we're faring pretty well so far in this very tenuous environment of not really understanding what's going to happen next financially in that way. And even with all of that going on, we are still ready to scale, 5x. So the fact that we are like on the reg taking big meetings with big clients that need a big amount of stickers, ooh, that feels good. If we close one of these a month, that will keep pace with our growth. If we close 2 or 3 or 4 of these a month, and then as the word is getting out, and then we have Pride, San Diego Pride right around the corner, I just gave Chance the go ahead to purchase the booth, and I'm just like so excited to see what comes from that. We have a meeting tomorrow with the booth committee, so I'll get to see like what everybody's thinking. For our Pride booth, it's going to be a double end cap booth, and it's going to be like a pop-up store. It is going to look so incredibly impressive compared especially to what's right next to it, where people just have little tents or little, pop-up canopy things, just like a normal street fair event. Our goal is to make it be very DIY and very like, whoa, this looks so cool. So I can't wait to see what the very creative minds over at StickerJunkie come up with. And we showed you the Pride collection last week. Hayden, throw it back up again. For those of you listening on YouTube, Hayden is popping up our San Diego 2025 Pride collection. And then also our San Diego Pink Pony Pride collection. Yes, we were obviously very, very inspired by this collection, as well as our Protect the Dolls stickers. So very, very excited to be on this journey now. And as I'm moving forward with all of the meetings to actually pitch the TV show, it's such perfect timing because everything we're doing now is hyper visual. We sent all the contracts out to sign the artists for the towers that we're going to sell individual stickers for at the street fair. We're also getting ready to roll out our towers program where we sell sticker towers to like tattoo shops, coffee shops, all of the different places. We're signing a bunch of artists. I just looked at like 15 more artists last week, and I think like 12 of them were a yes. So I'm so excited to see how everything rolls out from here because it really is the tipping point where everything's about to go right out, where everything is about to pop at once. We're now very quickly, like by July, August, our problem is going to be how the fuck do we keep up with this scale? Okay, we just did our 5x it'll probably be 2 or 3x by then. Now, how do we get ready for the next 5x and the next 5x and the next 5x? Because as we're taking the steps forward, we have this really unique position that we're in where we get to set it up right from the start. Brian and I have never had that in any other company before, either one of us, because like when you grow something really organically and don't know anything about business or what you're doing and it's trial and error and you make every fucking mistake humanly possible and like something happened and you didn't have a right policy in place for it or whatever. There's so much danger in that for small businesses, and you hear about people getting taken out by stuff like that, or they don't keep their company culture up and they have one person that dislikes their job and that person spreads like a wildfire through their company, and then everybody likes their job a little bit less. Or you have somebody that's really talented that's maybe in the wrong place and they should be somewhere else. Or. There are so many things that you have to keep your eye on the spinning plate of, and all of that comes down to one thing: build your foundation on stone. Build it on solid rock, granite. Build it on something that is lasting. Do not build it on sand. Do not be climbing your way up the sand dune. And that's not a realistic thing to tell a starting out entrepreneur. But that is a very fucking realistic thing to tell somebody that has started 14 companies and gets to go back and rebuild them almost like from scratch. And now that we have the foundation just laid, we have the foundation laid for us to push up to about 10 million in annual revenue. Then we'll need to buy a lot more equipment. We will need to get a lot more people properly trained. We'll need to have our P's and Q's minded. We'll need to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed on everything in order for us to go from 10 million to 50 million, which is what our goal is in 2026. Right now, to go from 2 million to 10 million, which is the goal, we're set. We're good to go. We have our shit too fucking together. And so that feels so good. So every one of these meetings that I go into just to sell stickers to people who already buy stickers, who want stickers, who doesn't love stickers? These meetings are fun for me. And when I tell you I had never been in a government meeting like that, I didn't realize how sophisticated the lingo would be. I know that Brian has been studying this stuff for like months now and going through all of these certifications and all of these classes and all of these courses and all of these meetings. I just saw him superstar shine with it. And now it just feels again like the sky's the limit. I'm also talking to some big San Diego companies and I'm talking to some big national companies. And next week, Brian and I both are going to Summit Detroit Summit Series easily. Out of all the things that I talk about of any of the big conferences, Summit is the most fun one. Anybody will say that. It's probably the least serious business one now these days. Not that very fucking serious business doesn't get done there, because it does. Why? Because people are having fun and they just like each other's friends, and friends like to do business with each other. And so the amount of Summit people that I've reached out to in the last 3 months have been like, hey, you have this huge, $60 million company, $600 million company, $6 billion company. Why do you not buy your stickers from us? I don't have any of the $6 billion ones, but I need to talk to those people. But I've been talking to a lot of people with huge companies that I've known for a long time that I'm like, hey, it's time to come over back to us right now. So the fact that Brian and I are both going to be there next week talking to a lot of people who get their stickers from somewhere else is going to be awesome, because it's such a relaxed vibe there too. Like, you have some of the best performers in the world have performed at Summit, some of the best speakers in the world. I haven't even really been paying attention to who the speakers are at this particular Summit, because generally speaking, I look at it this way. All of the content at Summit, I will go to like one or two things, and when my friends are speaking, which they do really often at Summit, like I'll go to their things. But that thing that I could watch on a stage at something like Summit, an hour and a half of content, that's probably not going to change my life. And I could watch that at home later after the conference. But the person that I sit and talk to in the lobby of the hotel or on some little excursion adventure that's coordinated for that day, that could change my life. That really actually could change my life, because I could meet somebody that we end up having such a synchronicity in business, or. That I'm very excited to report back to you with whatever happens, because I am going in with a strong intention. I have already let all of my Summit people know, like, hey, I'm selling this TV show. I'm already talking to streaming services, but you bet your fucking bottom dollar I would love to talk to any other connections at any of those streaming services. Like, let's go. And there's a lot of people in entertainment that go to particularly to Summit, most of whom I know, but like, we haven't connected in a long time. It's been a long time since I've lived in Los Angeles, but all of them went to the Winston House regularly. And so all of the new listeners, like, go back and listen, but I really did start the Winston House with Corey McGuire and a bunch of other folks in Venice Beach. And Justin Bieber really did play in our living room. So hello to all of my Venice Beach crew: Joe and Judy Stolte, Sam Salisbury, Jordy Detmeyer, Dylan Sparts, Travis Steffen. We all lived in this co-live workspace and knew so many people in LA. And because there's so many really well-connected housemates, people would just bring back the most random, biggest people in all industries of entertainment, a lot of behind the scenes people. So it's really nice to be tapping into all those connections now while I am selling a TV show. I just can't wait to see what happens at Summit Detroit. And I did have one big save this week. Okay, so a lot of you follow us on Instagram, so you saw this post. If you're not following us on Instagram, go follow StickerJunkie on Instagram. Come on, we have the best reels. And also go follow me at Andrea Lake 101 on Instagram. I really am trying to get up my follower count. I have no followers right now, and that's not true, because I love you guys that do follow me, but I have 1,236 followers or something right now, because I have been so private for such a long period of my life, and I have been not consistently posting content. Like, that is going to start happening really soon. It keeps seeming like it's going to happen, but then I only post like once a week. So of course I don't have a lot of followers, because mommy is busy, but I really am going to start to post more and more and more. So as we wrap up today's pod, I really just have one last crazy story for you from this week. It was Memorial Day, and last year I sent out this really heartfelt, I thought really beautiful post. I was in tears when I wrote this post on Memorial Day of 2024 about my dad. He was a submarine man. He's the chief of the boat of the USS Guitaro, a nuclear submarine that was just like, really was never-endingly just parked off of the coast of Russia in the Cold War with nuclear missiles aimed towards Russia. And this is back in the day, right? There's no internet. We're not like hearing from my dad when he's gone. There's no really way to communicate with his wife and kids back then at all. And so he would just be gone for like 6 to 9 months at a time in a submarine. So it wasn't even like a carrier ship where you maybe could get communication out. It just wasn't like that. And they didn't didn't go into port very often, all of the things. So it really was hard being a military family. And it is hard still. Like, it really is hard. Like, the whole family really is a sacrifice for the whole family. My mom really was like a single mother. So my dad fucking hated Memorial Day sales. He's like, what the actual fuck is this? And my dad was like, just look, movie star good looking and just like a guy's guy. You know, he was just the fucking chief of the boat. And he rebuilt Corvettes like every single year of Corvette from scratch. He would like buy these broken down, rusted out, demolished looking Corvettes and then build them out. And he built out like a 64, a 66, a 67, a 69, a 72, a couple 72 Silver Anniversary Edition Corvettes, and a 74. And my mom drove a Stingray Corvette. I can't remember if it was 72, 73, or 74, but somewhere in there. And he was just a guy's guy. But he also was like so even keeled and did not get angry very often. He really did, really even keeled guy. But when he got angry, you could see that he was angry visibly, but it was very, very infrequent. But when he would talk, he would, what the actual fuck is this, a fucking day to honor people who died in the line of duty, and you're using it to sell mattresses? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? And Veterans Day, he didn't really have the same issue with, because Veterans Day literally used to be a sale for military veterans and active duty military. It wasn't a sale for everybody. And Memorial Day sales, I really think that those started up like in my childhood, though it didn't used to be a thing. And he was like, why are we not like at Fort Rosecrans, like grieving our fallen soldiers? Why are we running to a store to get a bargain? That's literally not what this day off is for. This day off is literally to honor the American military for the sacrifices that military families and people in the military are making for their country. That's what the whole day is for, but it's not really for that anymore, which is why people say Happy Memorial Day, which is wild. So I wrote this post because I think that right now in this very polarized country, I'm not going to get political, but we're in a hyper polarized country. And so I think that it's sort of has been like almost like not okay for just everyone to say I'm a proud American, because there's a lot of things to not be proud of, but everybody feels that way all the time. In America, that's part of being American. There's a lot of different points of view. There's fucking not just two, but right now there's just two, just the two. So anyhow, I am a proud member of a military family that grew up like in military housing when I was really young, and then my parents got to move out of military housing, but just grew up in the military environment, shopping at the commissary on base, getting to go visit my dad on base, and it was just part of my life and moving around a lot. So anyhow, I had always maintained the ethos that I would just never run a memorial sale. But when I tell you, I was so fucking broke on May of 2024. I was still losing money every day in that company, and I was completely out of rope. Like, I was at the end of the rope and just like, what the fuck am I going to do? And I did have big, huge clients lined up, and I was approaching very large San Diego companies, franchises that had like, 40 plus locations, several different places, and approaching it from that angle. And it was so hard. It was just really hard. And then of course, StickerGate happened and everything worked out great. But man, the amount that I actually needed to run a Memorial Day sale and for it to be successful, like the amount of true that was in 2024, I cannot possibly overstate. I needed to run a Memorial Day sale. It cost me something to stick to my values and not run a really quick Memorial Day sale and make some extra cash that way. And so instead, I wrote this really beautiful thing about my dad and about growing up in a military family and what that's like. And like, hey, let's remember what this day actually is really for. And I sent it out on Memorial Day of 2024. And in the morning of Memorial Day 2025, I was doing this meditation because I was like, holy shit. A year ago today, I lived in the fucking StickerJunkie warehouse and I was washing my hair in a sink. Nobody thought that that's what I was going to be doing in my 50s. I couldn't even conceive of the fact that so shortly, less than a year ago, I'd be able to sit in my beautiful, beautiful apartment in the most beautiful brand new building in San Diego and be living my best life and be traveling to all these wonderful places and to be closing these huge contracts. And while money still is tight and we do need to scale right now, like we're fine. You know what I mean? But we were not fine in May of 2024. We were really not fine. I was doing my morning meditation this year, just last week on Memorial Day, and just really taking in how far I had come and just being so thankful. And I really was thinking of my dad, and I was like, wow, he would be so proud of how far I've come and how much the company has turned around. And so I said, well, maybe I'll write a little something this year because there's so many new people on our, obviously most of our mailing list is new people since Stickergate. If you're not on our mailing list, sign up at StickerJunkie.com. And then I see that there's this email that's queued up to go out for our week of creativity sale that we're running right now. And I thought that that sale was running Tuesday through Friday. I didn't realize I approved it, but I just was like, I have been so busy that I didn't realize that it started on Monday and there was about to be a sales email going out on Memorial Day. And I was like, no, I felt so lucky. It felt like divine intervention. I'm not joking that I ended up even seeing that because it was already populated on an auto send at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was like, ugh. So I very quickly went into the couple of different email server places that we use and canceled the send on that and hit up my staff. I knew they probably wouldn't see it until they got in the office on Tuesday, but hit them up and was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We never ever run a sale on Memorial Day. I'm very sorry that you're going to have to redesign this whole campaign to be Tuesday through Friday instead of Monday through Friday. But then it worked out so great because I sent out an updated version kind of explaining like, wow, the company was really on the brink of bankruptcy in May of 2024 and like what a difference a year makes. And then resent the email from last year about my dad. And when I tell you that it made me tear up, the comments that I got from that, it made me tear up. The comments that I got from that. So many of our customers wrote back. So many of them were like, whoa, don't ever change. Like, we love you. So many of them wrote back and said, I'm in the military, or I am a veteran from the military, or I lost a family member. And then I'm a Gold Star family in the military. Like, thank you for sending this out. Like, low key, it fucking pisses me off when I see Memorial Day sales. I'm like, yeah. One of my favorite clients, if you're up in Bodega Bay, in the Bay Area of California, Fishtarian, wrote back and literally just said, your dad would be so proud of you. I'm fucking tearing up right now. So it straight up made me cry. I was like, what? Not cry, but like definitely tear up. I was like, I can't believe how touched I am that they took the time to write back and said they wrote a nice note and say that, and how much it touched me just to think of my dad being proud of me for having turned the company around, which he really, 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 truly would have been. And he really would have been proud of me in 2024. He loved me and he loved my family so much. If he knew how bad that I needed the money, he might even have told me to send the mailer. But he would have been really proud of me that I didn't. He really would have, especially when I really needed that cash. Anyway, I felt so thankful that I saw that. It's just been such a good time. It just feels like the tide has turned. I keep saying this to Brian and to everybody at StickerJunkie. It's just Jenny. Jenny and I had a whole conversation about this. Like, we are right at the tipping point. And when we're going into these meetings, we are getting yeses from all of the meetings. It is just that we are setting up like the back pages properly and getting the final approved artwork done here and getting the final certificate from this place over there and getting this one little thing set up from this place over here and taking this one little meeting with the streaming service over here and taking this one little meeting with like an agency over here. It's so much work right now and so much of it is coming together, but we need sales to close right now. And what's awesome though is we are getting a really great word of mouth, which like I'm so thankful for. So if you know anybody that needs stickers, like we need all the new clients. We're getting great like outdoors places. There's some Reddit thing that we're on where people who have hiking organizations have started to find out about us, like hiking stores and like off-road trail Jeep tour places. We just got a new one of those today. I'm going to ask for permission to call them out because I love Jeep tour companies. It just is so fun. Everything is so fun now. And we just launched a new product page to check out, like a new way to check out when you're on like the die cut sticker page or the circle sticker page. The interface is so much better. It is so clean. It looks so cool. It's amazing. That was Emily and our friends over at X Team. Hey, X Team. So to our good friends at X Team, who is our development team, banged it out of the park with this product page. If you need web development stuff, I have a deal with them. So let me know, just hit me in a DM and I'll give you an intro over to them. So I could not have a strong enough recommendation for X Team. Oh, very fast update on the portfolio. As most of you know, I am a quant trader and I got an assignment from my mentor to learn when I was a child, when I was like 27 years old, to learn every single thing that I could about compounding returns. And I did, and wrote this whole trading system, and I never sell at a loss. So my profit only goes up through the year. And so far, my portfolio is up by, drumroll please, 38.8%. As so far this year. I will keep you posted with how that continues to go. That number again will only increase unless the asset that I trade in goes to zero, which is why I trade in assets that are very unlikely to go to zero. So I hope that you guys are having such a great day, such a great week, such a great month. And I hope that you are so ready to hop into summer and to bang out your summer, whatever that means for you. I will be in Detroit next week. So early in the week, Brian and I are going to film the next podcast together. We're going to talk all things growth, all things Stickergate, and get it from his perspective. I'm going to be interviewing him on the pod and soliciting his thoughts around StickerJunkie and our growth and where we're going. And I can't wait for you to meet Mr. Brian Burling, our fabulous Chief Operations Officer over at StickerJunkie.com. I hope that you guys are having a fabulous night. And I hope that whatever is happening in your life is pleasing you. And if it's not pleasing you right now, I hope that those circumstances turn around into something that really does. All right, my friends, I will talk to you guys next week on the pod, Andrea Lake 101, The Making of a Billionaire. As always, please give us a like, give us a follow, comment on whatever platform you're commenting on. I really do read the comments. I really do respond to the comments. Ask a business question if you have one. I am happy to answer them because I'm going to be here talking for an hour next week. Again, follow us on all platforms at Andrea Lake 101 and at StickerJunkie. Let's go StickerWars. I hope you guys are great. I will see you next time on the pod.